Hey everyone, just want to encourage you to find us on your listening platform and give us a rating. Anywhere you listen to that has a rating system, go on over and give us a rating and maybe leave us a review. Let us know your thoughts. These ratings really do help. Thank you so much for listening. On to this week's episode.
Yo, Nicole.
Hey, Rolando.
Which Ninja Turtle do you identify the most with?
Well, I like to think that I'm Michelangelo, but
Okay.
I'm probably more of a Raphael at times. I guess
that's
it depends on the day. Or maybe a Donatello. I don't know. I have my moments of all four, but I'd like to be a Michelangelo. What about you?
Everyone thinks they are Michelangelo. I actually think myself to be more of a Leonardo, but I think I always devolve into Raphael.
Yeah.
And like I just was at a friend's wedding from the fraternity, and I had all these memories basically of me trying to be that leader, but always becoming the second in command because I was just too hot-headed to just be the team leader. The team leader should be cool, calm, collected, and really be the face. I was never that person. I was always the one who would throw a chair at somebody, for example, at a meeting. That is my
That's
role.
Raphael for sure. Eddie, what about you?
I'm more of a Splinter kind of person.
Oh my
I actually
gosh.
totally see that. I totally see that. If you don't know what we're
That
talking
was
about,
good.
guys, we're talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles today. We're going to get deep into the movies, not the comic books. So if you're, a comic book, animated shows, video games, looking for all that content, we're just going to be talking about the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get right into it. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Rolando.
And I'm Eddie Z.
And this is Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals.
An original podcast.
About unoriginality.
Today we're talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, super iconic 90s media property that I feel like if you are a millennial, it's just inescapable. You've seen some form of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just a huge part of your life. Definitely if you're an elder millennial, since that's like very prominent in the late 80s. And when the first movie came out, that was like the height of its popularity, which was back in 1990. So I had been just born kind of like during the height of all of this. So I grew up born into a world that was obsessed with these turtles. And I have many, many memories of them in my youth.
What are your memories?
That movie, that 1990s movie, has had such a huge impact on me. Like, every time I pass a sewer, especially as a kid, I would always look down and be like, can I fit a box of pizza down there?
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
You could.
Interesting.
I don't know. New York City has some big ass sewer.
They
I don't know what
do.
they're called, railing grates.
Covers,
So-
maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe covers. And you could
Manholes.
Yes.
Yeah. You could definitely fit a pizza pie down there, especially back then. I feel like pizzas were smaller back then. Now they're like so gargantuan.
So huge. Yeah, well, they got Pizza Hut, too. They didn't get, like, the New York kind. They were into chain pizzas, those guys.
Were they Pizza Hut or Domino's? I think they were Domino's.
I think it was both, because I remember I've seen so many Ninja Turtle movies this week. Last 3 days, one of them had Pizza Hut in it for sure.
I think Domino's was the one in the 1990 movie that because I just saw it.
I think so.
And it was a Domino pizza delivery man. Maybe it was Pizza Hut. Maybe the logo. No, I'm pretty sure it was Domino though. It was the blue. It was the blue and red.
Yeah, well, no, Pizza Hut is also red and black and blue, I think.
Yeah, there's
I don't
black.
think
in it.
More so black, but I think there was back in the day there used to be.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm not completely
That's a good
sure.
point, actually. Like the logos probably have.
Where were they
changed.
getting
They have
Pizza Hut
changed,
though?
yeah.
Wait, what?
Where were they getting Pizza Hut? I feel like growing up, like Pizza Hut was always.
It was like the fancy one, right?
Yeah, and it was always like.
Pizza Hut was fancy. Good
Well,
God.
Yeah, for fast
yeah.
food.
Dark time.
For
You
fast
went and
food,
you
yeah.
sat. You got like
sat,
the
yeah.
salad. Yeah.
Yeah, but I always felt like it was always placed in like far away areas. Even though it would be like Brooklyn, but it would be like in this like area of Brooklyn, so like almost disconnected. I don't know. I felt like I've never felt like, oh, Pizza Hut's just around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was always like
Yeah.
Ray's or Queen's Pizza that was just like every other block.
Okay, Mr. New York.
Okay.
This
out of
property
all three, I'm
was
all
made
born
for
and
him.
raised, right?
Yeah.
True, yes.
This born and raised in New York for sure. And also pork rinds. I can't look at pork rinds without being like pork rinds.
Wait,
Pork
they ate pork
rinds.
rinds?
There was like a scene where Raphael is just like losing his mind again and being a big baby, and Michelangelo's to the side just offering Donatello some pork rinds.
Okay.
To me, that's like the epitome of chill. Like, while they're off being crazy, let me offer you one of my delicious pork rinds. So
Pork rinds could always calm me down. I love a good pork rind.
I mean, can we even say possibly that their ridiculous behavior came from this diet that they proceeded to
Yeah,
indulge in?
yeah,
I mean,
pizza,
it's true. They
pork
are
rinds.
teenagers. Yeah, just eating straight up just pure saturated fat, basically.
Like I look back at always getting in trouble because I couldn't stay still or I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And then I remember that most of my diet really consists of sugary cereal and every soda you could imagine was
Yep.
always available at my fingertips.
Yeah,
And
children have the
and
best.
Sunny Delight. And Sunny Delight.
Which, yeah, Eddie, you've told me this. I'm just like, Sunny Delight is so gross.
Yeah, I've never had that ever. It doesn't.
You've
even
never
look
had Sunny
appetizing.
Delight?
It
No.
doesn't,
Good
no.
for you.
Imagine when it first it was like drinking very thick syrup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best way.
Ew.
I had to water it down as a kid.
It didn't even need to be refrigerated.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's.
I
a
think
lot.
I kind of believe it couldn't freeze at some point. Some point it like just couldn't freeze it. But I was saying, yeah, I was a crazy little kid. I was like, I think my diet has something to do with it. But
Maybe.
I digress. I don't know why I'm talking about this.
I mean, maybe that's what turned them into mutants if you really think about it.
Yeah, it
Just the
wasn't.
poor
You know,
New York diet.
It wasn't the nuclear stuff. It was definitely that terrible diet.
It was probably
Yeah.
just made worse by their diet.
That too. Well, that's also probably what aged them so quickly. I guess we're just gonna get right into it. We got a couple of different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to talk about. We're gonna kick it off with the '90s one, but first, if you don't know, the story is that there's 4 turtles. There's Leonardo, who's kind of like the leader of the 4 of them. There's Donatello, who's the brains and the smart
Yes.
one. There's Michelangelo, who's the fun-loving and also the youngest. And then there's Raphael, the angsty, rebellious one.
Yeah, someone who wants to be the leader, and he's
Yeah,
like,
and he's
too
all in his
hot-headed
feelings
to
about
be-
it. Yeah.
Right.
They are raised by a rat named Splinter, and they live in the sewers off the train tracks of New York City, where they have for the last 15 years. They are, I believe, in most media properties, at least around 15,
It's
16
always been
years
15
old.
years later, yeah.
And they were born this way. They were just regular rats. I understand being in the sewers. Turtles, don't know how they got there. But they just kind of came across some green ooze one day, and it morphed them into mutants, and then they became ninjas, and now they're teenagers, and at the core, they're turtles. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that is the core.
It's
I mean,
so
what
random
a
and wonderful.
whatever. It's true. Like, I mean, the minds, the creators of the Ninja Turtles, what minds they had. So that
Yes.
those were
Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Yes, yes. And they have a long history with this property. They had first comic books, and then there was an animated show for like 10 seasons. And at the height of that popularity, they turned it into an independent film, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when it came out in 1990, it was distributed by New Line. So that was an independent film. And at that time, it was the most successful independent film ever.
Wow,
It was
yeah.
a
I mean,
huge film.
I believe it because if you think about it, like, all right, can we just talk? We're just gonna get right into it. The 1990.
Yeah,
movie?
let's talk about the 1990 movie by Steve Barron with prosthetics and special effects by Jim Henson and the Jim Henson Company.
I think it was like his last one before he died, right?
Yes, yes. He died in 1990, so absolutely it was.
Those prosthetics still hold up upon
They-
rewatching it.
This
in
movie
2023.
still holds up,
Like,
dude.
I was rewatching it. I'm just like, yo, the prosthetic work in this film is so like good, and rewatching the in a little bit of reverse order, I don't know why they went full CGI for the fucking 2014 one. It was just such a huge fucking mistake. I don't know if it was full CGI. I think they tried to do some person in a suit for like the shadow shots, but it was just not.
They did, yeah.
It
so
ain't it.
It was motion captured, and there were actual actors wearing turtle suits on set for the 2014.
Oh, there
But
you go. See, it was too CGI.
It was
rendered.
too CGI. No, absolutely.
These turtles, they all had like, I mean, they all looked the same, but they all had like a different feel from the body language of the actors and stuff.
Yes.
And the voice acting,
which is also, important when it comes to more practical effects, when there's a person in there adding their personal flair to it. But
because since the face. I mean, let's be real. Like, the mouths don't move too much. They can only move so much. So you have to rely on the rest of your body to really emote.
Absolutely. I'm going to come right out and say it that this is my favorite of the Ninja Turtle movies.
I mean, I think I like the second one a little bit better.
The second of this 90s trilogy?
Of this trilogy, yeah. But the second one is a little campier.
It is. It's less dark and less serious because this film is actually pretty dark.
Yeah, no. It like both visually and like actually thematically.
Yeah.
I mean, Raphael got his ass handed to him, and they had to go heal him in like the woods, which is actually ripped from the comic books.
There you go. Comic books are dark. Pretty much, it's New York, and there is a massive crime wave happening, with there being at the core of it a clan behind it, the Foot Clan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they are ruled by Shredder. And these are all just a bunch of wayward children, essentially, like teenagers and kids who have been pretty much inducted into this cult-like clan for the clan's own, like, power-hungry, motivations and whatnot. And it's just like all of these kids, they just don't have a happy home life. They're misunderstood. They're on the streets. It's like, it's dark, right? This isn't like a happy world that we are entering into.
Yeah. Which is like what people really thought of New York in the 90s, I feel like. Because I remember if you were watching news, it was just like a crime-ridden like hellhole full of like just porn on every corner.
Yeah. 42nd Street. Yeah. Used to be
the place
pretty gross.
to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found it hilarious that was what the crime wave consisted of. It was just teenagers just stealing
everything. They are like so coordinated though.
Like, what is those first 10 minutes? TV? The old ladies TV in the beginning.
I know. I think he must be like reselling it or something.
I guess
for
that's how you turn a profit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but also a really young Sam Rockwell is up in there.
Oh.
Did you notice him?
I did not notice him.
Yeah, he's one of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the leader. Not Danny, but like, one of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the turtles are here. They're existing underneath us in the sewers and whatnot, and they want to be like vigilantes, essentially, along with this other guy named Casey. And they want to help out with this crime wave that's going on. And they somewhat, I forget how, but they befriend a news reporter who's reporting on all of this, April O'Neil.
They rescue her.
That's right. Yeah. And April is also just a complete mainstay within this franchise. So we're always going to see April. For the most part, we're usually going to see Casey, the four turtles, and Splinter. Splinter in this is performed by Kevin Clash, who's also known for being Elmo. And it's also my favorite form of Splinter.
Up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yes.
I do. I think the animatronics for Splinter is also pretty...
Yeah. And I think just like the most effective like version of like, yeah, that is what like a rat would look like. And also like, weirdly enough, I don't know why this is a valid opinion, but what a rat would sound like. So now my biggest qualm with this movie though is that, and what is my biggest qualm with other movies, is that it's really hard to determine who's who outside of Raphael, because the movie is so focused on like him and his problems, and he's got tons of them in this movie, that it's like, okay, so who are the other three? Particularly Donatello and Michelangelo.
I think Donatello and Michelangelo for sure are the ones that are least developed in the
Yeah.
original 1990 film. I would agree with you because with Leonardo, at least we know he's the leader, and he has like this struggle with Raphael, who doesn't want to be led.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So so those two are very, very much easy to distinguish. Donatello and Raphael, less so. I mean, Donatello, he comes with quips about like there was a funny joke. It's just like with Casey where you have claustrophobia, and then Casey's like, I've never even looked at a man before. What are you talking about? I don't know if you caught that joke.
I
He
know.
was talking about homosexual.
Oh,
It was
I
a
didn't catch
silly
that.
little joke, but I thought it was funny.
And it's so interesting though because Donatello was voiced by Corey Feldman, who was a huge star at that time. So you think he'd have a bigger role.
Oh, I
But-
thought Corey Feldman was going to be Michelangelo. I honestly couldn't tell who.
You couldn't
was
tell.
who.
They just were so interchangeable,
Yeah.
which is such a shame because that's the thing. Like, if there's 4 of them, make them kind of each their own dynamic personality. But the movie just gets a little too taken away with the whole Raphael and Leonardo thing. More so Raphael. And also that voice actor. What a voice actor. Oh, I'm going to get you. Like, he's just... They always make Raphael so Brooklyn,
Yes.
which must
do.
be like their commentary on like toxic masculinity or something. I don't know.
Sure. I don't know if they were thinking of toxic masculinity in the late
I-
80s, early 90s.
No, they weren't. They were like acknowledging it without realizing they were, because like Raphael is just so ridiculous in that movie. So, is it me?
Yeah.
Is it like is he not so ridiculous?
I don't know if he's so ridiculous, but I get it. Like, he doesn't want to live in the shadows and he wants to be the leader, and like he doesn't think that Splinter is letting him like be his true self, so he reacts in these like terrible ways. Like, for example, when he got ambushed and got like the shit beat out of him, it wasn't
Yes.
really his fault. All he did was just storm out of a fight that he had an argument with. Then he got ambushed. That's not his fault necessarily.
No, not necessarily his fault.
You know what I mean? The fight that he got in with Casey, I think when we first see him interacting with Casey for the first time, I think it was an interesting thing because like that was just straight up bravado on the both. It was like a pissing contest between these two men.
Pretty much,
One is an
yeah.
actual human who does not flinch an eye about the fact that this guy is a fucking turtle.
I know, right? He's like
Right?
nice
At no
costume
point,
or something.
yeah, like at no point does he care. Actually, that's the other part I did enjoy about this film. Like, there's a scene where like the turtles are running, and they jump over a cab, and the guy's like, "What the fuck was that?" And the cab is like, "I don't know. It looked like some giant turtle." And they're like, "Okay, well, we're gonna keep moving," which I feel is so New York. It's like
Yeah.
we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, honestly though, like this movie, like we said, it holds up, especially with the fight sequences and the fact that these men in these costumes, like it doesn't look problematic, and also the backstory and the way that like they go like the flashback kind of aspect to it and the way that they shoot it with the little Muppets. It works
with the
so
little
freaking
Muppets,
well.
and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think though using the black screen and just focusing on the actual puppetry, I thought it was nice. I actually had forgotten how kind of beautiful this film is, and knowing that I didn't know it was independent. See, I thought it was like an actual studio film. So the fact that it's independent just shows you like what is Hollywood doing nowadays.
I know this movie was made on a $13 million budget.
13, that's crazy.
For the
That
90s,
is
which I'm sure,
crazy.
which was more. But still, and it got $200 million in box office.
That's good for them.
Yeah.
Good for
I mean,
them.
this movie
No
was
wonder-
huge, so.
No wonder they made that sequel like immediately after.
Immediately after. Do you know the third film? Where they go back to Japan?
Of course, I've seen the third film.
I
know
have
the third
not
film.
seen the third film.
It's not good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people like kind of have taken it back and like look at it as a reappreciation of it, but I feel like that's in camp value.
No,
I'm sure.
it may be in Camp Valley. I mean, you're seeing the turtles dressed up as like actual ninjas and samurai. It's silly. I forgot how they even got back in time. Oh, there was like a device that they hold, and it takes them back in time.
Man,
to
I wonder if
the
they stole that from Back to the Future. They were like, well,
Samurai
Back to
era.
the Future went back in time to the West, so.
What's it called? Although, and it's not related, but I used to play the shit out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time.
Okay.
Which was such an excellent game. Like, I played that as a kid, and then like when I was in college in the frat house, we even whipped out the Nintendo and would play the shit out of it because it's such a fun game. And actually, we're getting ourselves hyped up with that one for the TMNT, because the TMNT film from 2007 was a sequel to the third one, right? It was supposed to be a continuity.
Yes. Now, should we just talk about TMNT?
Do you want to talk a little bit about it? Have you seen it?
I did see it. I saw it this week for the first time.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
So it's interesting that it's supposed to be a continuation of the original trilogy, because the way it begins was just like, yeah, these guys raised by Splinter in the sewers. They don't really spend too much time on the backstory.
Yeah, because it's a sequel.
Straight up sequel. So then it just automatically begins with Leonardo in like Central or South America. I can't remember which one. And he's been sent there by Splinter in order to become a better leader. So right off the bat, I'm like, what was wrong with, like, since I didn't see the third film, maybe I missed something there too.
I can't say that I remember there being drama between Leonardo being a leader and stuff. Maybe he was upset, like they were all stuck in time for so long.
It could be that. Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think it was because, like, after they had defeated Shredder, they like were growing apart, and so in order for him to learn how to be a leader again, he had to be sent out there.
Which is interesting because, like, they'd gone back. This is a sequel to the third one. The third one doesn't even talk about Shredder at any point. Like, he's a non-existent character in the third one, where he is a little bit more omnipresent in the TMNT, the reboot. He's not present because he's dead, but his daughter is trying to revive him or something. I think that's the plot.
Are you talking about Karai?
Yeah, she's his daughter or a follower.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was his daughter or not, but I think know she's a big
maybe
character.
It's like in the comics. So if you're like a no in the comics, you know that she is the daughter, but she's trying to revive him or something. I think that's like the plan. I think that's ultimately their goal, right? They're like trying to bring out demons or something.
Yes, that they're trying to get like this rich guy, Max Winters. He has like this thing that he wants to access these 13 monsters from the past.
Like the 13 ghosts of Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, like a portal, kind of, yeah. Like one of them being Bigfoot, and I don't know. To be honest, I already kind of forgot.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't rewatch this film because I didn't care that much about it. I did go see it in theaters. I was super excited for it because I like the idea of, let's see CGI turtles. And my girl, Sarah Michelle Gellar, was April O'Neil. Chris Evans, before Captain America. He was Casey.
Yes.
And I think in this movie, like, they're already like engaged or something, right? Like they're like full on.
Yeah, they're living together. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was
okay.
Watching it and just like not caring too much.
Yeah,
it was a letdown.
It was I liked the animation, and I thought that was an effective way to like, okay, keep this like franchise alive, but I just really wasn't that engaged in the story. Yeah. And they really did put a lot with like Leonardo and Raphael's conflict. But again, I really did once again feel like Donatello and Michelangelo kind of fell to the side. Yeah.
Interesting. So I think the third one was more so Michelangelo's story. I think that might be how it stands out, because Michelangelo really forms a friendship with the Japanese feudal system families that he encounters.
They do? Well, so this
Michelangelo
specifically. So this film was supposed to get a sequel, and where all of Splinter and 3 of the turtles all reform back to their animal-like states, except for Michelangelo, and he has to like bring them back to their mutant selves. And they like released an image for it, and like this is what the second one would be, but it never happened. That would have been interesting because, you know, getting a different ninja turtle at the like center of a story other than either Leonardo or Raphael would just, I don't know, like that's one of the things that I was always hoping to see in one of these movies, and they all just kind of, that's when they became interchangeable even for me, where I'm like, wait, which one is this again? Was this the Bay one or was this the animated one? I can't remember.
Oh, the films you mean.
With the films, yes. And that's the problem with films too, is that, you know, with unlike TV shows where you have all this room to have these character development, as Rolando's always saying, that's why it's a better medium. It's hard because you kind of end up telling the same stories because they're the better ones for films. You know what I mean? We always have to hear the backstory. We always have to have that leader conflict with the rebellious one, and then it just gets a bit repetitive. So.
Right. So that reminds me of... Right, because if you watch a TV show, you know the dynamics of all the turtles at that point.
Yes.
You know how they work and interact and who's supposed to be who. So, like, then that just carries over into your overall knowledge of, like, how they interact with each other. So, yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Absolutely. But then it's also, you get, like, smaller stories, at least for the animated series. I'm sure they're only like half-hour
but you also get, like,
whatnot.
way cooler bad guys. Like, you get Krang.
Yeah,
Krang,
instead of
I
just
think.
the same ones. Okay.
Baxter. Who else is there? There's, like, a robot turtle. Eddie, did you used to watch a cartoon?
Not really.
Wow.
No, I didn't really.
You weren't a fan of the Turtles?
No.
Okay.
No.
Love it. Hey, it's just honesty.
Yeah.
To me, it was all about that original movie, and that's kind of where it began and ended for me. But I do know the song of the original series, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtle Power.
Turtles in a half shell. Turtle
Power. Yeah, it's a good song, but I didn't really like watch it. So I missed, though, TMNT when it came out in the theaters. I also missed the Michael Bay one because, you know, he made Transformers and he was like, it was such a successful franchise. He's like, wow, let me produce now another beloved 90s property.
Yeah, I thought he directed it. It turns out he did not.
He did not direct it. He produced it. And that had actually a sequel that did horribly, but I didn't even know it friggin' had a sequel. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 by Jonathan Liebsman. I saw this for the first time the other day. I'm sure you did too.
Same. I didn't watch this in theaters. I did not like the way they animated these turtles. I think they looked so ugly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the company was thinking. I think it's either Viacom or Paramount or I don't know who owns the rights at this point. And Nickelodeon. I think Nickelodeon. They're Nickelodeon who's owned
so it's
by
Paramount. It's Paramount. Yeah. So this is when the film for me, it was like, okay, this is like feeling less and less like these boys are teenagers and they're just like grown men. Because and with each film too, like the 90s film, they don't really feel like teenagers either.
They don't.
Even in TMNT, they're animated. They still don't really feel much like teenagers there. They don't feel like teenagers at all in this movie, which is like whatever. And that's also one of the things that I'm excited for the 2023 film to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But like, this film is also not really about the turtles. You know how a lot of people complained when they did the Power Rangers movie because they're like, they spend so much time not being the Power Rangers that like I was promised
really
power. Yeah,
that's true.
So,
which is a fair complaint.
A fair complaint about this movie is that this is not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. This is a April movie.
This is very much an April movie, and April in this film is the beautiful Megan Fox.
Who really can hold a movie on her own, but we didn't come here for Megan Fox.
Do you think so? I don't know. Wait, hang on. Maybe this is coming because you're a lesbian is coming out here because she's so gorgeous. She's so gorgeous. Even as a gay man, like I will say, it's just like, yeah, she's fucking like how I understand the appeal, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't necessarily that Megan Fox couldn't hold the movie, but like the plot they gave her was so fucking convoluted. And part of the reason I came to find out that the reason the plot is so convoluted is actually, let me backtrack. Let's tell you a little bit about the plot. April O'Neil, she works for a news organization with Will Arnett.
Will
Arnett, who I thought was going to be Casey, but he's not Casey.
He's not Casey.
Will Arnett is just kind of a sleazebag, like really hitting, like sexual harassing the shit out of her.
Yeah. Undermining her and everything.
Yeah. But April, she's investigating these crimes that are connected to the Foot Clan and the news organization led by Whoopi Goldberg of all people.
I know,
just
right?
does not believe her. They think she's crazy, and they give her like these like kind of like puff piece assignments. She ends up encountering the Foot Clan because the Foot Clan are getting tired of having their plans thwarted by these turtles. So they kind of do like a hostage situation in like a train station in New York, and April O'Neil is there. She's capturing on camera, and then that's where she sees the turtles for the first time. And when she learns the names of the turtles and she goes home, she comes to discover that, oh my god, these were her turtles. And that's where I kind of was just like, I'm done with this fucking film.
Yeah.
This movie is so fucking stupid. April O'Neil, like the way they connected her to the backstory of the turtles was so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out that April O'Neil was the daughter of a scientist who was working on like some ooze, and this is what the foot soldiers are after, but they just couldn't. So like her mentor, like this family friend who's played by the paraplegic in Mom. I don't know. I've seen him everywhere, but I don't know his actor's name.
Yeah, I don't know the actor's name either.
So he turns out to be like a devout follower of Shredder.
Yeah.
And he is, I don't know, like action ensues and stuff, and they're like end of the world shit at the end. It was such a convoluted mess of a story. But I come to find out the reason it was a little bit convoluted, right? Because Shredder has no real connection to the Turtles. Right? It's actually this one other guy, the mentor to Megan Fox. The reason this happened though, and it's so weird, is because they were producing the film, and halfway through, that guy who she's friends with, the rich guy, he was supposed to be Shredder. But
I see.
Michael Bay and like some of the other producers are just like, we might get in trouble because like Shredder is like he's Asian.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they just felt it's just like I just feel like the fan base would just like rebel. So they decided to change the story halfway through filming and make him like kind of a devout follower, but therefore nixing Shredder's connection to the Turtles that he would have had otherwise. And Splinter was also like her pet or something, her pet mouse.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Her
That
pet
was the
rat.
other thing.
Yeah.
Which every girl has a pet rat. Who doesn't?
It's just it didn't work. The movie was very tropey, like predictable, but not in like a fun way, because tropes can be fun in movies, you know, especially when you're like familiar with the template. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And then the way they did it was very uninspired. Yeah,
I would agree. And I got through half the film and I was like, I'm just speeding through like the plot points. Fast forward.
Yeah, no, I went and made coffee. You know, I let the movie play.
Yeah. Like, this was not it. And
this was not it. It's a lesser piece.
If this movie did succeed, I do think it's because of Megan Fox's beauty. Like, people just want to go.
For sure.
She kind of. I mean, this was supposed to be like a little bit of a comeback for her because she kind of had like no real big films prior to this, right? Like she did Jennifer's Body, which
the Transformers movies, Jennifer's Body.
But she talked shit about Michael Bay.
Yeah.
And then she kind of got blacklisted from the rest of them.
Yep.
Right? And I think that's also probably why. I think that's part of the reason why Shia LaBeouf quit too, like the treatment for Megan. I could be making that up, but I'm pretty sure that's why he wasn't in subsequent films as much.
Aw, well that's sweet of him.
But he's also gotten blackballed by like in Hollywood.
I was gonna say uncharacteristic. I mean, this movie did successfully enough financially that they got a sequel, which totally bombed, and they scraped a third film. Like it just did not do well at all.
Well, so I don't know. I knew it had gotten a sequel, and my reaction when they announced a sequel and I saw trailers for it, I'm just like, people actually wanted this. Like, who wanted the sequel? They should have Nickelodeon should have just.
Money talks. Money talks.
I know money talks, but the problem is just like sometimes just take the win. You don't have to like try to keep profiting off of it.
Yeah.
Because I think during this time, they had rebooted also the Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon. I think as a successful TV show, had a few seasons.
A lot of people like that TV show. So
yeah. And so, but I think we're just trying to capitalize off of it, and it just wasn't it. I also didn't watch that one because I didn't like the way the Turtles were animated. I think they were a little bit more closely animated to this kind of style. Where like the turtles are supposed to look more realistic of like what turtles would look like if they were humanized, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
I'm also not feeling like the costumes. Like the costumes are just like kind of
just everything about it sucked.
Yeah, it was just not good. It was just not a good movie.
No.
And you know what? A waste of Will Arnett's talent.
Of everyone, Will Arnett. Yeah, no, for sure. And Whoopi. Let me tell you, like. You get Whoopi. Like, why are we wasting her to be like the cranky news editor, Yeah. Although I did find that subway sequence in the beginning of the film to be kind of effective. Like, I was like, oh, this is cool, but other than that.
Remind me what that sequence was.
When Karai wants to find the turtles to bring them to Shredder. And they get all the hostages, and then they come out, and then they like defeat them in the darkness really quickly. That's like scary and like
Was it in this one where the turtles are talking to April, but like they're kind of talking in like deep, scruffy voices, and they're like, "Why are you talking like Batman?" Or is that the new one? That might be the new one.
They began the new one like that.
Okay, so I'm thinking of the new one. Never mind then.
Yeah, but yeah. So let's talk about the new one. At this point, we get a new Ninja Turtles movie every 7 to 10 years, it seems, because
I guess
millennials, the rights, I guess they expire. It's gone through the hands of so many different people. Like they said, like I think Kevin Eastman, one of the guys has like officially walked away from it, but then the other one stayed on, and then they worked with when they resold it to Nickelodeon and whatnot to kind of like revitalize it. Mm-hmm. It was actually because they were going to make a third film, and then when they saw how badly the second film, Out of the Shadows, went, they said, let's just do a reboot that's going to be animated. And so this has been in the plans since the flop of the second film. And they're just like, let's always make sure there's going to be new Ninja Turtles content. Mm-hmm. Because these millennials, now they're parents. And now they want this thing that is so true to them and so special that to their childhood to be something a part of their children's childhoods. And let me tell you, my theater was freaking packed on a Tuesday 12 p.m. showing with
mine was
kids.
too, with lots of kids.
Lots of kids.
Let me fucking tell you, they're so fucking annoying.
They really are.
There should be like warnings that tell us it's just like, this might be a lot of, I guess we should know. It's like film.
I mean, yeah, it's meant for children. But like I got like row B7 and I was like, I'm going to be alone in the front. A family of 19 came and took up all of row A and B, and I was in the middle of that family.
There's no way that was one family. That had to be
it was one family. Like literally there was an adult saying, you sit there, you sit there, you sit there.
That must be
I'm
like a
sure it
birthday
was
party or
like when I
something.
say family, it was cousins, whatever. But like everybody was there together. And I was in the middle of them. And it was so I even turned to one of the adults and said, I could switch with somebody. But they didn't end up doing that. It was really awkward. Anyway,
they didn't take you up on that offer?
they did not take me up on that offer. They were like, you're really sweet. It's okay. And I just stayed there.
Absolutely. That's a crazy move. I would have taken it, but be like, thank you. You're so polite. I don't think I would have offered, though. So, yeah.
I just didn't want to be in the middle of this damn family. But I digress. So it's this new movie that I feel like is also kind of going to be in the new realm of kind of these comic book movies that are based off of the success of the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
This felt very like, because the Spider-Verse films did so well, this was born kind of a thing.
I would agree. Wait, actually, I'm so glad you said that, because can we just go back and just say thank you to the Spider-Verse for giving the animation studios leverage and giving them like some leverage to like try other creative art styles. Yeah. Because that is one thing I will praise about this movie, is just like, this is a visually beautiful movie and I'm so happy for it. And Disney is even trying out different art styles. Like, that trailer for that
Wish.
movie?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wish. I'm so excited to see that one. It's just like, oh, this looks absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad. And let's be real. That's because prior to Spider-Verse, like a lot of the animation, they all look the same.
Yeah.
And Spider-Verse said it's just like,
so
we can try something different. It's fucking animation.
Yeah. And it's getting theatrical releases, and it's really exciting, actually.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the one thing I will say. This movie, in terms of like animation, was absolutely gorgeous. Sometimes I think the animation style didn't lend itself to the action sequences.
Okay.
Sometimes I think it got a little too busy. Eddie, agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay.
Especially during like really intense action scenes, it almost seemed so blurry. Like,
yeah,
it was just,
you couldn't comprehend what was happening.
Yeah, it was like really messy, and it took me away from like really enjoying some of the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But outside of that, I think the animation still was. I love like the kind of like the line, like the kind of like the like almost like pencil drawing like effects that they were going.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was gorgeous.
It kind of, so it was done by Mikros Animation and Cinest. And these are two different places. They have like, they're in Montreal and Paris and in Vancouver. And the inspiration that they were given was school notebook sketches.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like how it feels,
I liked it. I actually, I dug it. I thought this animation was absolutely wonderful.
I think that this film overall really worked, for me at least. First of all, let's just say that this film is about teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles more than any other film is. Most of the time, they're just Mutant Ninja Turtles. This film, they are teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, more than any of the other films, now they are teenagers, and that was one of the things that I think they were looking to explore with this, and they wanted to make it kind of a coming-of-age film. Yes. One of the writers of this film was Seth Rogen, along with Evan Goldberg, Dan Hernandez, and Benji Sammet. Now, he opened the movie at my theater. Did he open the movie at yours?
No. What do you mean he opened the movie? Like, he gave like a... Oh, wait, did he? I was late.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Oh,
he did? Okay, yeah.
Oh my God. I was stuck behind like the slowest fucking orderers concession stand. I just don't understand. It's just like, yo.
Well, we have this horrible system.
Their system is so terrible at Sea Caucus.
Yeah, no. Bad food lines can ruin the movie experience. So anyway, he like gave this whole thing saying, he's really excited for the Turtles to come back and that we all are in the theater, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh no, I hope this doesn't feel like a Seth Rogen movie. But it actually didn't. He was able to kind of remove himself from it and really tell this story. And these boys, these teenagers, they really felt developed in this film. Dare I say the least developed in this one was Raphael.
I would agree. I think they really steered away from trying to make Raphael like the cranky, I don't want to be like bossed around. Like they were trying to steer away from that. And as a result, he just got lost, which is fine though, because we've gotten so much Raphael though over the years. So it's just
They're like, we've seen enough of that dynamic. Now let's show us a little bit more of Donatello, who they gave glasses. Let's get a little bit of Michelangelo, who's the shortest and his voice wasn't actually the youngest out of all of them. That was Donatello, surprisingly. He sounded
was the voice, yes.
Like he hadn't even reached puberty. And then there was Leonardo, who was like coming to terms with his own leadership qualities. The only thing was that Raphael would bust his balls a lot.
Yeah.
So now this.
And I like that Raphael was like more hulking than all the others.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's a sequence where you see them as babies and we're trying to figure out like, wait, who's who?
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess the big one has to be Raphael, right? Like the chubby one.
Yeah. And they all, and this one, to make it easier too, they have their initials on their belts.
Yeah. So I mean, the colors usually.
The colors, if you're a slow kid and you can't figure that out. So
I guess.
This film also kind of gives another version of their backstory, kind of like Batman. We're just always going to get their backstory of how they became Mutant Ninja Turtles. But this one gives a little bit more as to who was responsible for making sure that there was, or for providing this. Now, what exactly was this mutagen that they were like, dilly-dallying in that turned them into mutants?
They were, it was Baxter at the beginning of the film, who I think I
Baxter
could be wrong,
Stockman.
But so I think in the comics and in the original animated TV show, he's the guy who becomes the Fly. He becomes Fly. But in this one, he dies. But he was working on, some mutant,
family.
Kind of. He was creating, some mutant gel to create, mutant creatures. And this shadow government, quasi-government, mercenaries came. They wanted to steal his research, but instead he ends up dying and losing a lot of it. But in the process of losing it, I think some of it fell into the toilet or something, or the sewer grates, and then it ended up infecting these turtles
and Splinter. Yeah, and then we get a little bit of a backstory for not only that, but Splinter, who was kind of looked down on by everyone, looked down on by other sewer animals and other. What is a rat considered again?
Vermin.
Vermin. By other vermin. And then by humans, right? And so now he finally gets this mutant gene in him and he transforms and stuff, and he's still looked at as an outsider. So at the core of it, his story is that nobody will ever see him for who he really is and just will always treat him like a fucking freak.
It's a story of fear. He's afraid of the outside world because of how it's treated him.
Yes.
And
there's a sequence where he goes to New York. Yeah. And with the babies and stuff. And yeah, a little emotional too. Seeing people just kind of treat other people disrespectfully.
Well, all right. Hey, God. Whoa. He's
not
a
a person.
Giant rat. All right.
In New York, but still.
I feel I don't know. I don't know if I'd be kosher hanging out with a giant rat person in Times Square. Would you, Eddie? If you saw a giant rat person, are you telling me that you would befriend this guy?
Oh, I don't know if I would be friend, but I don't think I would be mobbing either.
I would totally be in that mob. I would be like in that pitch. What is it like with pitchforks?
Yeah, you'd be leading the mob. Yeah,
probably leading it. Yeah, like like save the Frankenstein's monster. Like no.
Yeah. Which, oh, by the way, I forgot to say that for news, but there's going to be a Bride of Frankenstein remake, I think, with Maggie Gyllenhaal directing it.
Oh.
And Christian Bale is going to star in it. I don't know to what extent, but
I that was like not a. I like Christian Bale, but I also I find him so tiring.
Yeah, I think his reign has come and gone, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like I like his movies, but God, he's just trying so hard to win another Oscar. Or has he won an Oscar?
I don't think he has won an Oscar. No.
Okay, to get another Oscar nomination.
Yeah, probably. So, because of this horrifying, incident and realizing that his young boys are obsessed with the human world, he trains them in the art of ninjutsu, pretty much, to protect themselves, because he is afraid for them that they're going to go out there one day and they're just going to find that it's going to be terrible and they're going to get milked by humans, which is actually pretty funny. That whole milking gag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all they want is just to be normal. They just want to be part of humans, and they want to go to high school.
Yeah, it's very, very much a Little Mermaid here. Like it's just grass
part of your
on the
world,
other side, part of
Yep.
your world, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but
yeah,
pretty instantly they kind of meet and somewhat befriend April.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to talk a little bit about April, because in this version, every version we've seen her on screen, she's been white and she's been very pretty, but in this version she's black. And
wow, whoa, hey God, it's true you don't think that this April is pretty?
No, but I feel like they've
That's
done
not what I'm saying.
April like I was looking at some old pictures of her, like the cartoon, how she was so
slender and
robust, in the front area, her breasts.
She had cleavage going on. Yeah, I remember.
Swelling always for attention. So and always her thing was always to show a little cleavage too. So she was kind of always drawn to be
in her
very
yellow jumpsuit,
sexy.
Yes, they always sexualize the shit out of her. Whereas in this version, they make her a teenage girl.
Yes,
and
April
they make her
Puke.
black. Now there's some sort of, I guess, contradicting reports, because when April was first developed in the comic books, I think it was, I forget which one, if it was Eastman or Laird, but they based her off of their girlfriend at the time,
who was biracial.
Yes. And so if you look up pictures of April, and I shared it with you in the chat if you haven't seen it too, she is clearly a person of color.
No, okay, yeah, so I actually did a deep dive on this because Eddie had mentioned this to me, and I was like, really? I didn't know that, so I was looking it up, and someone actually wrote a whole write-up. So what we're looking at here, she looks like a person of color, but it's a white woman with a perm, which was very trendy at the time.
Okay.
I kid you not, that's what this is. This is a white woman with a perm. It was an entire storyline for the Turtles. What's it called? The Turtles hated her perm. And finally, eventually, after a few issues, she finally went back to the straight.
Damn. Okay. Well, so there is still
it caused a lot of confusion. That's still, we're gonna put it on our show notes, guys, so you can check it out, because it is confusing. When you forget that the perm was popular in the 80s.
It was popular, but that's the thing. There's conflicting reports onto how she was born and what she was always supposed to be, but she eventually became and stayed white. So this is kind of them going back to the roots of April being more I guess racially ambiguous and whatnot.
Well, I think so. I saw the article that I had read. I'm going to also link in the show notes, but she was historically usually white, but not always white. There have been instances where there have been black Aprils, so it's not like a hard and fast rule in the comics. Just on the screen, she's always been white. So this was our first on-screen person of color, April.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it wasn't her being a person of color wasn't integral to the storyline. She was just a person of color.
Yeah. I thought this April was adorable. I think she was my favorite April. She actually had her own character arc because she was a wannabe journalist who had to get over her own fears And the fact that
being on camera.
Of being on camera, she went viral after she was on camera once and she puked everywhere.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a funny gag, like watching her trying to report the news and just like throwing up for a really, really embarrassingly long time.
Yeah, and they make her very real.
Yeah, because I think
She's
what I
very
liked
quirky.
about it. Yes, but I think what I liked about her was just like April has always, every time we've seen her on screen, she's kind of been cool, calm, collected, dare I say sexy also. But here, it's not that here they make her more like realistic in the sense of like, okay, like fear of public speaking is a very, very common thing that a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
Not me. I've always been great at public speaking.
Same.
But others, like I think there were studies out there that like people would prefer to get attacked by a shark than to speak in public.
People are crazy.
Yeah, well, that's how much the fear is of public speaking.
Okay.
It's a real thing. And so it's something. So, and we're seeing her journey to becoming a journalist.
Yes.
Also, which I also liked. And the fact that we made her young, I thought was cute. And the turtles being young and being corny, and like her calling them out on like kind of how corny they are.
Yeah, but also being
really
obsessed with
cute.
them, where she had that like notebook of questions. It was like, do you guys have ears? Like, how do they do this? How do they do that? And also, from the moment he sees her, Leonardo likes her. Like, he instantly has a crush on her, which I also thought was just like so cute.
I thought it was weird because it's like, he's a turtle. What is he going to?
I mean, he
There's
has
nothing
feelings,
gonna happen.
but
I guess.
even if something doesn't happen, like whatever, he has feelings.
That
It's
reminds me
cute.
of the funniest joke. Like after he decides, because he's been so staunch about like against helping humans, but he finally has his chance to help humans. He sees her. He's like, we gotta go do it. I think Donatello was like, I think all his hormones just kicked in.
Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, they all instantly see it and they make fun of him. and
Yeah.
stuff.
They tease him.
So-
But that's the other thing. They all did feel like brothers also.
They did. They had this cute little report. There's like this cute scene right when they come out from beating guys up and they're like just hyping each other and April's like recording them. She's like, I don't think people want to watch this, and they're just like acting so silly.
Yeah, like part of that TikTok generation, like things that you would
Yes.
see them do on like TikTok and thinking, but they go for so long. It's just like, okay, no, like this is terrible, but they don't care because they're like so hyped the fact that they just like beat up the bad guys.
Yeah. And yeah, they have this adorable relationship and they feel like brothers, they feel like teenagers, all this stuff. The plot pretty much is that there's also this secret government plan to like find Baxter Stockman's work and to create these mutants that he was working on 15 years ago. And so when they find the turtles, the government actually steals them and tries to milk them of their mutant blood so that they can create their own.
Which was so funny, the fact that they ended up getting milked. Like everything that, Splinter was warning them
Splinter,
about.
yeah. Who's played by Jackie Chan here. And it's
Isn't
like a
that
very
problematic?
overbearing parent. Why is it problematic?
Oh, he's like, what's it called? He's homophobic.
Jackie Chan is homophobic.
He disowned his daughter because she's a lesbian.
Well, that is soul crushing because I love Jackie Chan.
Yeah, no. We can't like Jackie Chan. He's homophobic and stuff.
I'm a lesbian. Like, this is really painful for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well,
His
let's
daughter
move on.
has been very vocal about like the absolute mistreatment growing up.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Sorry to burst that
Buzzkill.
bubble, but like when I found out it was Jackie Chan, I think I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the
Seriously.
voice actor was until after the credits. I'm just like, oh, it was Jackie Chan.
Anyway, moving on. So a lot of Baxter Stockman's other mutants that he was working on 15 years ago, they've survived and they've grown and they've formed their own little family, but they also now have this plan because they also love human culture and they wanted to assimilate, but things didn't go well for them either. And so now, led by the giant fly, they're looking to, pretty much kill everyone and also make all the other animals in the world mutants like them so that they have the upper hand and whatnot.
Yeah, which
So-
is also very Black Panther like if you think about it. The movie, not the movie.
What do you mean Black Panther? Like,
Well, no. So you have two different sets of families here, and how they were raised, how they react to that, the hostility from like the real world here.
I think it's all X-Men. the
you're
plot
right.
of
I'm
X-Men.
sorry. That's right. You told me
Because
X-Men, and I'm just like,
it's
no,
like
yes.
like Xavier versus Magneto, and literally the plot was
1,000,000%. You're
that
right.
Magneto built a ray to turn all the humans into mutants.
Yes, that was the plot of the first.
So that
X-Men.
was the first X. So it was like, we're mutants and we want to love humans, and then there was like, another group that was we're mutants. Excuse me, we're mutants, and we've been mistreated by humans, so now we hate humans.
Yeah.
You're
I
right.
mean,
Yes, it was.
You
yes.
are absolutely right. Yeah.
That was exactly. And that was more or less the plot of this film. Like when Eddie called it out while I was watching, I was just like, "Oh my god, you're right. This is the first X-Men."
Yeah.
And they're literally mutants in this film,
They are. Yeah.
which I didn't think that they could get away with that word. I thought it was like literally owned by Disney now for Marvel. Like
I'm sure
kid
that
you not,
word
like,
existed before Disney. They can't.
No,
own
I
that
don't think it
world.
existed before the actual X-Men.
Really
So I think it comes with that X-Men territory.
Yeah.
interesting.
I could be mistaken about that. Someone go and correct me. But like Mutant itself was, I'm pretty sure, created by
Marvel. By Stanley.
Stanley.
Interesting.
And also you get that kind of callback moment to Spider-Man where it's like all the New Yorkers decide to help out. You know,
Yes.
it's like
Yes,
you
yes.
get like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
yeah.
And that's how they talk also, like Brooklynites.
Okay, 1 second. I actually, so that whole like story too, even though I've seen it before, everything I thought was really well done, like in this film. And I think you said the animation was beautiful, like that one sequence where I think they're picturing themselves in high school, or maybe, and no, it's when they're beating up all the guys and it's like going from scene to scene, but it's like one long shot that dissolves from a different
I
scene.
loved it. That was
That was
actually one of my
beautiful.
favorite shots of it. It
Yeah.
felt very Old Boy.
Yeah, Old Boy
Like,
is a
kind
good
of the way it was
reference. Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that the soundtrack was stellar.
Yes, agreed.
I thought it like, okay, so in Super Mario Brothers, so many of those needle jobs make me eye roll, but every single one in this movie, I was like, good. Like when they went from Four Non-Blondes is What's Up, and then it turned into a car chase, and then it turned into the internet version of What's Up with He-Man, I was dead. I was like, oh my god,
Is that
this
what
movie
that
did
was?
That's
I
what that
liked
was.
I
yes.
didn't know that. I thought it was a wild choice to pick for a car chase scene, but I went with it. It was a fun ride. Like
It was, yeah.
That's what I will say about this film. It was absolutely a fun ride.
It was fun.
And
it was
for
cute.
me, I think one of the things I actually appreciated about the film too was just like there was no Shredder, because I think sometimes
Yes,
that's what
absolutely.
studios do. They over rely on the main villain that we associate the heroes with, and I think some of the best films, like, you don't do that right from the get go. Like the Dark Knight trilogy comes to mind. Like, you don't open with the Joker. You get to know Batman first,
Yes,
and then you introduce
absolutely.
his main antagonist.
Yeah.
Same thing here. We got to know these turtles first, and now when Shredder inevitably comes, because we know he's going to come based off of the last shot of the film, we now have more reason to like kind of root for these turtles and stuff, and learn more about like why Shredder becomes such a threat to them.
And also,
Yeah.
you do get more the sense that they have more to lose now. Too.
Yeah.
With Shredder's presence now, because now you have the aspect of a found family, because they incorporated all these other mutants into their family now, and now so they're like this big family living in the sewers.
Yep.
And now they've integrated, or they've begun integrated into society, going to high school and trying to doing high school things, and
Yep.
really excited about that. So it's like now they have more to lose and more to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I thought it was actually really cute. And
It was
it's so
cute.
nice to go to the movies and just like be in and out within an hour and a half.
That's true. It was also not a long movie.
Yeah. It was just,
I-
it flowed very well.
I gotta say, it's been like just a pleasant surprise after pleasant, because I did not.
Right?
I thought it was gonna be like a beautiful movie, but I didn't think the storyline was gonna be like as moving as it was. And it's just like, Eddie's right. This was a story about found family from two different found families, and there was a sequence where Splinter realizes that like all he's a different side of the coin from Superfly, right? Like all he was, like Superfly was just he decided to use rage as his reaction, where Splinter was afraid. He's just like, no, we're gonna hide, and it's what is it? Fight or flight. Shredder, Splinter was flight, and Superfly is fight.
Yes. Yep.
And it was. I thought it was just an overall. It was a very charming film. Even
That's a good
April,
word for
like
it, yeah.
finally like coming to her own and like getting on camera to like report to the news and say it's just like, no guys, they're the good guys. Like, because I love that about the commentary. Like the media is so quick to like villainize people, especially others, and like immediately they were villainizing the heroes. But like April O'Neil has to come in and kind of like set the record straight. I also love the fact that like she still threw up.
Yeah, that was funny. And I loved Leonardo's speech, which was just like, we're doing this for the wrong reasons. We shouldn't be doing this for the fame. We shouldn't be doing this for the glory. We should be doing it because it's the right thing to do. And then Raphael's like, hey, you actually sound like a leader there.
Well, even going back, I'm gonna beat the horse. It's even deeper than that, because they were like, we wanted to do this to be accepted too.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point like, why, like the X-Men, the question is always, why are we protecting those who hate us so much?
Yeah.
Why are we using our gifts to help those who hate us? And that was that question too, what they had to face, is like, they had made a decision, we're going to do this, we're going to fight to the very end to protect these people. No matter what.
Yeah.
And like, we shouldn't be wanting other people's acceptances until we have our own first, kind of a thing.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's actually a good movie for kids too. Like I could see kids getting into it.
It was fun.
So.
I mean, talk about like giving fresh life to this franchise.
Exactly.
The franchise is over 50 years old.
It's probably 40 at this point. Yeah, 40, 50.
The comic started in the 80s, right? So the movie came out in 90, so
yeah, so
the math, it's
40. It's not that old.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. I did the math wrong.
My second favorite film of all of them, to be honest. Like, I think they finally.
I would agree. I thought that this one was going to be my favorite out of them, but then rewatching the 1990 film, I was just like, no, 1991 is
classic.
still,
yeah,
it's still good.
Classic,
like those costumes hold up still in a really nice way, and it's just like I don't know. It makes me miss when we put time and effort in prosthetics.
Yeah, no, it does. But instead, this is a nice, like, okay, time and effort into this beautiful animation.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Like animation, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like this, because I think it gives you the opportunity to like create beautiful sequences that you wouldn't be able to film. Yeah. Like for example, that sequence when we're seeking like that track, like that profile shot of like the turtles fighting, and like it's cutting to like different places and stuff. Like you could do that in live action, but like why? You could also just animate in this beautiful rendering.
Yeah. So, no, absolutely.
I thought it was nice.
And like you said, week before we did Haunted Mansion, which we also were pleasantly surprised by.
Yeah.
Then we had Barbie before that. I forgot what was before Barbie, but like everything that we've been going to the theaters for has been worth it.
Yeah, no, for sure, which is good.
Yeah, that is good.
Indiana Jones, that was the previous one.
And you know what? Didn't hate that.
I was glad. I was glad that I saw that in the theater. I really enjoyed it.
Actually, because of that movie, we checked out Fleabag and we finished it.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Hey,
let me tell you. Oh, she's so good, and she wrote it.
Oh my god.
She's brilliant.
I mean, my god.
Yeah.
I want that to get revived. To be quite honest, I want it to be like
another season.
Throw lots of money at her. Give me another season.
She should have another show. Yeah, all of her shows, like her other show before that, the one about them like renting. I think it might even be called Renting. Hilarious. So she should do another show. She's great at those. But anyway, all right. Well, I guess that just about wraps up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Do you want to do a quick lightning round?
You lead the way with how you want to do that.
So you just pick which film version do you like best of these characters. I'm going to start off with Splinter.
Original 90s.
Eddie?
Yes, I self-identify with that.
I think I might go with the 2023 one. I thought he was. It was just something funny. I actually thought I didn't know it was Jackie Chan. I thought it was like a Jewish man who was. Splinter. So
All right. Let's. I didn't want to say it, but it did give that vibe of like,
I thought it was like a caricature.
It's like, what are you doing to me?
It's just like it was movie. I just thought like, okay, like it's probably.
Then you said it was Jackie Chan, and I was just like, wait a minute, what am I missing here?
That is not racist. What I'm saying, I'm just saying I thought because of Seth Rogen, I was just like, okay, so he decided to make Splinter Jewish. That is an interesting choice. And then I come to find out it's Jackie Chan. I'm just like, wait, that makes less sense. But I loved it. It was so weird. I love this Splinter. Let's go with Michelangelo.
Ooh, I guess I'm gonna have to go 2023.
Okay,
He was more of a character here.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I think the original.
The 1990.
Yeah. Tell you the truth, it's not gonna matter to me. It's not.
I think I might go with 2023 as well. Donatello.
I'm gonna have to go with this one too because again, Donatello actually stood out in this one more than he has in other ones.
I agree. So Eddie, you don't care.
Yeah, I think he was good in this one too.
Yeah, I would go 2023 for Donatello.
Yeah.
Leonardo.
I think I'm gonna have to go 2023.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I liked his arc here.
He had a good arc. He had and he was very, very much present. Eddie?
Which color was he?
He's blue.
Oh
my God.
Yeah.
You're also going 2023?
Yeah.
All right. Now
the big one.
Big one. Raphael.
Oh, 1990s, hands down.
Okay. Eddie?
I could see that. I enjoyed him in the cartoon versions, like the cartoon series.
Okay. We're not counting though.
All right, but we're not. So the first one.
The 1990. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, this is going to be the kicker. I'm going to go with the TMNT one because he had like that alter ego costume design too, because he was like an other vigilante while Leonardo was away.
That's right.
I like that Raphael.
Okay.
And since we covered it on the podcast, he's clear for landing.
He is clear for landing. And last but not least, April.
Oh my God! Of course, April. 2023 one for me.
2023 one. I just really liked seeing her, what they did with her here. She's just more than like all the other ones. Just kind of seem vapid. They didn't do enough with her character, and then like even though they made April like the star of the 2014 one, it still didn't seem like a thought out character. Oddly enough,
I'm glad they gave her like a yellow leather jacket.
Yes.
I don't know why, like because like I associate April with that yellow jumpsuit, which she didn't wear in any of the Ninja Turtle films. It's just like why, like come on.
Why indeed?
Give me that yellow jumpsuit. At least she was also
because it would have been off of the
wearing
color
yellow
scheme.
clothing in 2023. I'm sorry, Eddie. What?
I feel like the color scheme of the movie. I think that yellow would have.
So, yes, it's true. like just seeing in the dark city of New York, this yellow jumpsuit. But it's the 90s. It's the 90s.
It is the 90s.
That's all I had to say.
It is. All right. Well, I guess that just about wraps up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, are you a big Turtle fan? Have you seen any of these movies? Anything that we missed or anything you want to comment on? You should reach out. These are the ways you can reach out. Email us, remakesrebootsrevivals@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media, on Instagram @remakesrebootsrevivals, at Twitter @remakes_podcast. You can search for us on Facebook and YouTube by searching for Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals. And if you're listening to this on a podcasting platform, just go to it right now, click our name, Remakes, Reboots, Revivals, and leave us a little rating. And if you can, leave us a review, and you can let us know your thoughts there as well.
Yes, and do not forget, guys, this Wednesday, we are going to be at, this Wednesday, the 16th, we're going to be at Corgi for
trivia.
Cheers Queer, a trivia night. So come out and support. You can get prizes, and rapid HIV testing is provided by the Hudson Pride Center.
And really nice gin drinks. So
beautiful gin drinks. Gorgeous.
All right, well, I'll see you there on Wednesday, Rolando.
I will see you there, hopefully. I don't know if you can see on camera, but I've had a sty in my eye that I got from the wedding that I was in, I assume. I don't know. So I'm hoping it will be down by then.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'll be at a distance from people. It's not contagious, Nicole. Don't make that face.
Just
He looks-
across the room.
Looks like a mutant.
All right. Well, until then, guys,
Stay unoriginal.
unoriginal.